Hi, I'm Cathy from Treatment Talk, and I am pleased today to welcome Lisa Frederiksen from Breaking the Cycles, Changing the Conversation. And it's been fun because I've met Lisa blogging, and she'll probably remember maybe about a year ago. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
and it's been great because we only live about 45 minutes to an hour away from each other, and so we have actually met face to face. So that's been nice, and we've connected through the months and the years on this difficult topic, but I think it's been really wonderful, and we both seem to enjoy sharing, whatever we can online. So today we're talking about her new book, Crossing the Line from Alcohol Use to Abuse to Dependence, which I think is a fabulous topic, Lisa. I think people it's kind of the crux of the problem for people, family members, because you do not know with alcohol. It can go on for years and you're just never quite sure what that line is. Talking about what is the line? And you mentioned the 3 stages of drinking. So really, what is that line when we know we're being unhealthy?
Okay. And first of all, thank you for having me on, for this interview. And as you said, I've really enjoyed getting to know you and working with you over this past year or however long it's been, but it's been great. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the line itself is alcohol use, which is what they consider low risk drinking. And then moving on to at-risk drinking or alcohol abuse. And from there, then on to alcoholism. And the problem for most of us is we think of drinking as either normal or alcoholic. And so we tolerate this long period of alcohol abuse or at-risk drinking for a number of years or maybe months, but often trying to help the person or get them to change their drinking patterns, and all in fear of calling them an alcoholic. So the effort with this book was to help people first understand the line and then see their own drinking patterns along the progression and hopefully make different decisions about their drinking so that they can pull back, or if they are or see themselves as alcoholic, maybe get treatment, or if they're in the alcohol abuse stage, to change their drinking patterns to bring them back into low risk.
Can you explain, I know in your book you took a point when you explain the standard drinks and the difference. And I think that's really interesting because people have a drink and they think it's one drink, but yet many times it's really not. It's more than that. So if you could just briefly touch base on what is a standard drink and what's the difference between
Sure.
say, beer and wine and a vodka tonic or something.
Okay, sure. So a standard drink is defined as 1.5 ounces of 80 proof liquor. So like vodka, gin, bourbon, scotch, or 5 ounces of table wine, or a 12-ounce beer, which is a can of regular beer.
Right.
Now, if you're getting into the malt liquor or malt beers, typically that's less than 12 ounces. It's also 3.3 ounces of champagne. And if you're pouring your champagne in a wine glass, you're having more.
Right.
So that's what a standard drink is. And it means that each one of those has the same amount of alcohol content. So the liver can process about 1 standard drink an hour. Certainly it varies for people depending on their weight and stress and age, brain development, that type thing. But that's a standard drink. And so the idea is to maintain that those low risk drinking limits using that measurement for a standard.
Right. You talk about sleeping it off, and that one caught my eye, the dangers of allowing someone to sleep it off. And I especially right now when we see this prescription drug issue, this epidemic, because a lot of the teens or college kids are not just drinking alcohol, they're combining different things. So definitely that's an issue. If you can speak to that a little bit, that's a myth that,
Yeah. Depending on how much a person has had to drink, it's a depressant in that it depresses the functions that have to do with breathing. I mean, you can actually shut down the body's breathing.
Right, right.
And the person can die.
Right.
So when we think that, oh, well, they're just drunk, roll them on their side so they don't throw up, which is important.
Right.
But we need to make sure that they haven't had so much to drink that they're going to die.
Right,
and
right.
So that's the idea of not just letting your friend sleep it off. And the hard part, and that's why sometimes it's important to be aware that a bottle of gin, for example, typically has 17 drinks in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, or a keg, and I'm not sure how many drinks are in that, but if there's just few people drinking this, that person's had a lot of alcohol. And so it takes, relatively little to start to suppress or to change brain function. And so it's really important to kind of be aware of that.
Okay, so another question that popped out at me, Lisa, was the idea of a teen being an alcoholic. And I know for a mother, that would be, a devastating idea. And we think of alcoholics as, the people walking in the streets, the man or the woman with a, bottle or a beer can in a bag. But how can a teen be an alcoholic?
Yeah, it's such a really important question. And one that we didn't understand until this new brain research, and where they're actually studying how the brain develops in time-lapse studies from, say, 5 to 20. It's fascinating. But it has to do what's going on with in the brain during the ages of 12 through 20, roughly 25 in that time period. And in fact, early use is the number one risk factor for developing alcoholism, because of that brain development. So it's sort of a complicated topic to try to explain in the interview, but it is described in the book. But the reason is that young people, in fact, 18 to 20-year-olds have the highest number of alcoholics of any age group in the United States. So it's a really very big, important question, but it has to do with the brain development, and understanding that is probably one of the most helpful things for young people, as well as for parents, on why not to just assume underage drinking is a rite of passage.
Right, okay. And we do get fooled so easily. We do go into denial so easily on that topic. So anyway, well, we are out of time, but I want to thank you so much for doing this interview. This is great. And we want to also tell our listeners where we can purchase the book. So please. And I will say, first of all, you can come to Treatment Talk. It will be on my little rotating Amazon bookshelf. But beyond that, where can the readers find your book?
They can purchase it from any one of the e-reader stores like Kindle, or Amazon for Kindle, or the Nook, which is purchased through Barnes & Noble, or Sony has a reader. So, and then all of these readers now have software where you can download free apps in order to read it on any device you have. So you can read it on your Mac or your PC or your iPhone or your iPad. So you don't have to just stick with one particular reader. Or if you don't have a reader, you can buy it and then read it on any device with these free apps. So, Amazon, Kindle, or Barnes & Noble, Nook.
All the major sources. So, it would be easy.
$3.99. I left them at really low price, so that was intentional.
Well, it's a great, and I would say for anyone who's new at this, especially if your child is, or, your spouse or any family member, but someone new to this whole experience, this would be a great book to start with, because chock full of information. It really gives you the basics and gets you going and makes you really understand the whole idea of this drinking and what it can do for you. So thanks again for stopping by Treatment Talk and for having this interview. I appreciate it so much.
I do too. Thanks so much, Cathy. Okay.